Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. Today we're giving you the lowdown on the 10 teams who have had the most to lose given the current situation. Let's get into it. 10. Manchester City. Most people might assume that Man City would like nothing more than to see the season cancelled. 25 points behind rivals Liverpool, having lost 7 league games already, a figure only topped twice in the last 10 full seasons, their title defence has been a disaster. But with a Champions League ban looming, subject to their CAS appeal, this might well be the citizens' last chance for a while to lift that elusive piece of silverware. Because despite collecting 4 league titles and 7 domestic cups in the last 9 campaigns, the best this expensively assembled squad has managed in Europe is a semi-final defeat to Real Madrid in 2015-16. And it was all going so well for City up to this point. Despite their mistake-ridden defence conceding 1.1 goals per league game to date, up from 0.6 in 2018-19, their lethal attack has blitzed their way through Europe's premier competition. 16 goals in 6 group games, followed by 2 away in the Bernabeu, had put them on the brink of a 4th consecutive quarter-final. And even if the Champions League did resume, if the current season ends in winter, David Silva might have left. Aguero and Fernandinho would have just months to run on their current deals, and Sané's value would have further depreciated with his contract up in June 2021. If the current situation continues, it could get very messy for the citizens. Before we move on to our next section, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Football Daily and hit the notification bell to never miss a video. 9. Lyon. Similarly to Man City, the 1920 campaign hasn't gone to plan for Lyon. It started disastrously after they gave Silvinho, in his first managerial job, just 9 league games to fill the void left by Bruno Genesio. Jean-Michel Aulas then made the universally unpopular decision to hire former Marseille boss Rudy Garcia, who'd been dumped by the Olympians after failing to qualify for the Champions League in 18-19. But in fairness to Garcia, despite not being able to call upon the injured Depay and Jeffrey in Adelaide, he has steadied the ship, lifting them from 14th to 7th at the time of writing. But the postponement of the current campaign is particularly disappointing given that Lyon were on the verge of something special. Not many people gave the club much of a hope when they were drawn in the last 16 against Juventus, chasing their first European Cup in 24 years. But Garcia's men completely negated Juve at the Groupama. They failed to test Anthony Lopez, and Toussaint's goal gave them hope of a first Champions League quarter-final in 10 years. Without football for the foreseeable future, the market value of players like Aouar and Dembele, who look almost certain to leave this summer, will likely decrease, turning a poor season into a potential catastrophe. 8. Bournemouth. Eddie Howe's Bournemouth have had a season to forget. Despite conceding 70 league goals in 18-19, a figure only topped by Fulham and Huddersfield, the Cherries made the inexcusable decision to spend just £19 million net on players last summer. That left them ill-equipped to deal with the crippling injury crisis the club had faced this campaign. David Brooks has missed the entire season, while Stanislas, Smith and Gosling have all joined him for spells on the sidelines. Factor in the loss of form of the normally dependable Wilson, Fraser and Cook, and lack of impact from Danjuma, signed last summer from Club Brugge for the 4th most expensive fee in their history, and it's not difficult to see why they currently occupy 18th position. After beating United 1-0 at home on 2nd of November, Howe's side occupied 7th, but just 3 wins in their 18 games since has seen them drop down the table. In fact, across those 18 matches, only Toulouse with 1, Werder Bremen with 7, and Brescia with 9 have accumulated fewer than Bournemouth's 11 points across Europe's top 5 leagues. If the season was to end tomorrow, Bournemouth would be relegated, and they couldn't really argue. 7. Werder Bremen. 4 top 10 finishes in the last 9 years shows a club in decline, but between 2003 and 2008, under the tutelage of Thomas Schauf, players including Roy Mackay, Miroslav Klose and Diego led Werder Bremen to 5 consecutive top 3 finishes and 1 Bundesliga title. But now they are a pale imitation of their former selves, just 2 points off the bottom, having won just 4 of their 24 games to date. But why are they going down? Well, the simple answer is they don't score enough goals, with no one scoring fewer than their 27, and that they conceded too many, with their 2.3 goals against per game the worst in Europe's top 5 leagues. But it actually goes deeper than that. The Green and Whites have made a net £2.1 million profit on transfers. For context, Brighton have spent a net £207.7 million over the same period, despite only spending 3 of those 9 seasons in the top flight. 4 points off the relegation playoff places, albeit with a game in hand. Even if the season does resume, Bremen look doomed. 6. Manchester United. The 2019-20 season has, for the vast majority, been a tough watch for Manchester United fans. 8 defeats to sides including Palace, West Ham and Burnley, coupled with just 1.5 goals per league game, 0.2 less than they managed last season, means that with 9 matches still to play, United are on track for 59 points, 5 fewer than in any season since 1990. But the arrivals of Bruno Fernandes and Ighalo in January have not only eased an injury crisis, but reinvigorated their season. Since the window slammed shut, United have played 9 games in all competitions, winning 6 and drawing the other 3. In the process, they scored 22 goals and conceded just 2. And the new signings have excelled. Bruno has 7 goal contributions in 8 games, and Ighalo has scored in his first 3 starts for the club, equaling Lukaku's club record. With Pogba and Rashford both out with long-term injuries, United's 2 new arrivals have given the club renewed hope for a Champions League finish. But instead, with the current situation, the Red Devils lose momentum, and Chelsea, currently 3 points ahead of United, have time to get Pulisic, Abraham, Kante, Kovacic and Hudson-Odoi back to full fitness. What a nightmare. 5. Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich might not seem like the most obvious inclusion on this list. After all, they have been in superb form in recent times, going unbeaten through their last 40 matches under Hansi Flick. Their magnificent attack has scored 73 goals in 25 league games, or 2.9 per game, the best such record in Europe's top 5 leagues. Their firepower, which